where women don't have access to their own rights, such as education.
And like the average person who isn't like a terminally online queer is going to be like, yeah, sex is real, whatever. Like,
I'm an Indian person.
Your bigoted aunt's deranged Facebook posts.
Natalie is actually just lying here. Why did I trust this person? Is this who she really is? Has this always been who she really is? She was cancelled by these very people that she is now trying to appeal to. This is Duper's delight, is what we're seeing here. Sex is real is a weird argument. It's really not difficult, unless you are trying to not understand it. I need to do this video. I know it's gonna be insufferable, and I'm gonna probably go back on my stream title. But we have to nail down the JKR thing. And I think the best way to do that is to go after ContraPoints. So that's what we're doing. Here we go. Matt Bernstein. J.K. Rowling spiral into madness with ContraPoints. Spiral into madness. From sex is real to Holocaust denial. She's not a Holocaust denier. She does not... Like, I know what they're talking about. It was that, you know, suggesting that trans people were not targeted as part of the Holocaust, which I don't know for sure, but she might well be right on. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm sure these people will do a much better job of explaining why I'm wrong than... Yeah, I'm so sorry, Charlotte. I'm not going to say the same. God, there's a massive spike here. I mean, what I'm expecting is a smug gay man and a smug straight man to say lots of smug about someone they truly do not understand and have a vested interest in not understanding. Yeah. But let's see. Wanting to be illegal is a reaction. I can't remember exactly what the tweet was. I think I went over it in my last Bernstein video. So, I don't know, check it out. I did a video about Matt Bernstein already. We're doing another one. Let's go.
hello.
Oh my God, I'm swearing already. I need to stop swearing at the start of like segments because it's creating so much more work for me. Anyway.
Hello, and welcome back to A Bit Fruity, the show where we think that you should never live in the closet, Harry, even if the woman who created you changes her mind.
Can I say something nice about him? His voice isn't quite as grating as I expect it to be based on how he looks.
If you would like to support the show, or perhaps want a little bit more of the show, we are on Patreon. Marches of Sydney Sweeney, the right just figured...
I tell you what he's saying here about Patreon supporting whatever this is supposed to be. I don't know, maybe subscribe to the Marichu instead. At the Marichu live on YouTube. Subscribe to the Marichu maybe. Like the stream, like the video.
Figured out who Sydney Sweeney is because they saw her on SNL and they never watched Euphoria. And her being hot is causing a freak out. Fairly honored to call philosopher. She is a YouTuber, but I think calling her a YouTuber is kind of diminutive to her craft.
Well, no, it's dishonest because when was the last time she made a YouTube video? More like.
She puts out a couple feature film length videos a year that you've probably watched, but if you haven't, you really should go check those out.
Listen, let me be clear off the bat. I actually like some of ContraPoints' content. I think that she had some very interesting perspectives back in the day. I think that the J.K. Rowling shit kind of is where her channel fell off a cliff for me. I have no idea what her Twilight video is like because I have no interest in Twilight, let alone a 3-hour video about Twilight. I have a feeling this is where my respect for ContraPoints permanently falls into the sea and explodes. And hey, this is important, you know what I mean? I've broken the spell, but I haven't fully covered this shit yet. So, hey, asking for Patreon while he lives in a villa where the 1% of wealthy NY lives. Yeah, it's a bit gross. It's a bit gross. These people usually claim to be like anti-capitalist, and then they're the most money-grubbing people out there.
Talks about philosophy and sex and gender and capitalism and Twilight. Natalie Wynn, welcome back to A Bit Fruity.
Thank you so much for having me back on. I am excited to be here again. I'm honored to be a friend of the show.
I'm honored to have you as a friend of the show. So a couple weeks ago,
I like some of that person's content. Oh my God. I feel, Anyway, I'll just sit here in pain for a bit because, like, Jesus Christ.
JK Rowling, she got caught up in a little Holocaust denial.
She does a little Holocaust denial.
Weeks ago, JK Rowling, she got caught up in
When she claimed the Nazis did not burn trans healthcare books. That's not Holocaust denial. Like, this is, at best, a tiny offshoot of the Holocaust. When you say Holocaust denial, you're suggesting that millions of Jews were not killed. Matt Bernstein, by the way, is Jewish. I think he's a self-hating Jew. Oh, I will, Ginger Braze, thank you. He might be a self-hating Jew. I know he's down with the Palestine brain rot. And when I say that, I have a lot of sympathy for the people of Palestine. But there's a fucking brain rot going on with Western people, Western leftists in particular, when it comes to Palestine. That's, to be clear, that's what I mean when I say that. This is already gross.
a little Holocaust denial.
She does a little Holocaust denial.
Yep, there it is. 1 minute 41 into this video. ContraPoints was someone that I had a huge amount of respect for. Like, her videos were like a big deal to me back in the day. I've been trans for a long time. I've been trans for longer than ContraPoints has, to be completely clear. And yeah, this is what she is now. Or at least 9 months ago. When was the last time she made a video? Let's just have a quick look before we continue. But yeah, straight away, that is not Holocaust denial. She is wrong. Matt Bernstein is wrong. This person used to be like practically the authority in a lot of ways to me. Now is my turn. I'm sorry, it's over. You've not been trans as long as me. You don't have as good a perspective as I do. And here's evidence. JK Rowling is not a Holocaust denier. I think it was 10 months ago. Yeah, 10 months ago. And the last, let's say, substantial video, because Twilight isn't my thing. I don't care about queering media. I don't care about queer takes on media, whatever. But this is the last substantial, kind of consequential video she did. This video sucks. The Witch Trials of JK Rowling. It sucks. This video, JK Rowling ContraPoints, sucks. I've watched both of them. I have videos watching both of them, or at least as much as I could stomach of each of them. Because guess what? These videos are based on flawed concepts. We just decided that she's a bigot. We just decided that when she says concerns, that's a lie and it's a concern troll with no evidence. You can go back and watch it. I know whenever I talk about ContraPoints, I get a ton of dislikes. I get loads of people come to my videos purely to hate, I guess. But the truth is that she's completely wrong about this. The truth is that this was a gaslighting campaign. And I think she knows. You know why? Because the last, this video I think was a lot more philosophical, The Hunger. I don't remember if it's good or not. It might be Envy. I don't remember too much of either. Like the last kind of current events videos with these two. And like, she hasn't done anything on her old channel since about these kind of current events. I'm sorry, it's over. It's over. This person is not an authority. She never was. She was right about some stuff. She was wrong about a hell of a lot more fucking stuff. It's over. It doesn't matter how many of you come to my video and dislike it because I dared to speak ill of your queen that I've been trans longer than. It doesn't matter.
Oh, from time to time. Yeah.
It wasn't always this way. Holocaust denial.
She does a little Holocaust denial. From time to time. Yeah.
Oh, because it's a little from time to time. No, I'm sorry. You don't get away with this because of that. And it's a bit gross watching you mirror that smug asshole with your own smugness, quite frankly. This is extremely off-putting. This right here is making me question my own judgment for years and years. As if that's not what I've been doing the entire time I've been doing this channel. But ContraPoints is like the final boss of that for me. This isn't me confronting ContraPoints, because obviously not. She can't hear me, she can't see me. This ultimately is me confronting myself, So hey.
It wasn't always this way. JK Rowling wasn't always on Twitter denying that queer people were persecuted in the Holocaust.
Did she deny that queer people would What did she actually say? That's what I need to know. I don't know any of these things. I need to have this to hand because I don't trust that these people are going to show it. And I need to know what she actually said. Didn't want to be called a Jewish independent nonprofit. What's the actual tweet? What's the actual tweet? Show the actual tweet. Tweeted alleged that Nazis did not target trans people. I mean, arguably, this isn't even targeting trans people, but hey, Nazis did not target trans people. What did Matt Bernstein say again? Let's see.
She does a little Holocaust denial from time to time. Yeah.
It wasn't always this way.
From time to time. Yeah. I swear she didn't used to talk like that, but okay. Maybe she did. Maybe something has just exploded in my brain and I'm suddenly understanding the truth of everything.
Way. JK Rowling wasn't always on Twitter denying that queer people were persecuted in the Holocaust.
Queer people were persecuted in the Holocaust. Here's the problem. What did queer mean in the 1930s, the 1940s? What did the term queer people mean? What we're doing here, just to be clear, just to explain what I'm saying, because I know it's annoying, I'm asking questions, I should just be saying what I mean. What I'm saying here is that we're applying a modern concept to something that happened in history. There was no queer people. You can say there was gay people, trans people, etc., etc. Queer was not a word that we used to describe those things. And by the way, if I'm to accept the term queer, it needs to have an actual definition that is not just anyone who calls himself queer. That's not good enough. To me, that means nothing. It was still a slur back then. Yep, that's what I'm thinking too. I just need to hide something. Okay.
Until 2019, J.K. Rowling was a universally beloved children's author who taught every kid that there was magic inside of them.
Oh, why didn't she just carry on being what I want her to be?
No matter how cast out they may feel. Today, though, how would you characterize her position in the culture today?
Well, her position in the culture is kind of weirdly split, right? Because on the one hand, there's her continuing legacy as the author of the Wizard books. And on the other hand, there's like almost her entire public persona, which we mostly experience through Twitter, which is basically obsessive bigotry towards trans people.
Look at her face. Jesus fucking Christ. Excuse me so much. Excuse me so much. I told you, I'm going to go back on my stream title. I'm so sorry. If you wanted a calm stream, we had a much more reasonable stream today than last time. I've not been shouting at people. I do apologize if anyone was genuinely offended yesterday. Just give me a sec. Watch her face. Watch her face. I mean, you can see it right here. You don't even need to watch her face, but do it anyway. Do it anyway and consider a term. Consider this, and watch Natalie's face.
See, as the author of the Wizard books, and on the other hand, there's like almost her.
Actually, no, you know what? I didn't do a good enough job. Let's do it again. Because I think it kind of comes in more as she starts saying the second half. You know what I mean? Listen, we're going super slow. This might be boring to some people. I do apologize. This is extremely important to me.
Characterize her position in the culture today.
Well, her position in the culture is kind of weirdly.
We've got kind of a smirk going on here.
Split, right? Because on the one hand, there's her continuing legacy as the.
Like she's trying not to smirk.
Author of the Wizard books.
Not really working.
And on the other hand, there's like almost her entire public.
But the smirk is like coming more and more as she says on the other hand and explains what she's saying. Oh, thank you, Charlotte.
Persona, which we mostly experience.
It's getting like it gets worse as she continues the sentence. Maybe this is like schizo as hell. I don't know. But this, to me, this is duper's delight, is what we're seeing here. You're being lied to, and this person is reveling in it. I refuse to believe that ContraPoints has always been this person, but it's possible she has. And it's possible that the only thing there is left to do is completely disavow this person and everything they've ever said. Because ultimately, She made an insane amount of money transitioning. She made an insane amount of money off of her transition. Most of us don't get that luxury. And now she gets to speak with authority on this when she's literally lying right now.
Through Twitter, which is basically obsessive bigotry towards trans people.
Like, I've watched 2 videos. I've seen them multiple times, and I've watched bits of them on stream. She has not substantiated this. She takes this as the premise. She says things like, when she says concern, that means that she's not concerned, with no evidence. You can go back and watch these videos. I know I'm going to get plenty of people watching this that will not believe anything that I'm saying because I'm going against this person. You need to watch these videos again if you didn't like them the first time, because what I'm telling you is true. This is a complete lie. She did not prove bigotry by any means. She did not prove that she's lying when she talks about her concerns. That's just what she thinks. She put across an opinion as fact. And there is little that sets me off. Like people who spout insane opinions as facts, especially when those opinions have consequences, such as having a throng of trans people harassing the ever-loving fuck out of JK Rowling for years and years and years, because that happened. That is what has happened.
That's become sort of her definitive thing, right?
No, her thing is like women's rights. Why do you get to decide that? Based on what? Based on a conversation that's already happened? Based on faulty logic that we've already gone over? And people need to understand this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break it to so many people. I'm sorry that I'm trying to shatter your illusion of someone. You know what I mean? ContraPoints is hostage to their fans. Yep, kind of seems that way. Listen, she was cancelled to fuck by these very people that she is now trying to appeal to. Someone who looks exactly like Matt Bernstein, possibly Matt Bernstein himself, cancelled ContraPoints. And one day, I'm going to go over the cancelling video. And now she's turning back round to try and appeal to those people. Maybe because the alternative wasn't lucrative. But I mean, she's already made so much money. Look at everything behind her. This room looks almost the same size as my entire apartment. It's just fucked, man. It's fucked. It's broken. And we need to collectively understand this.
I think that people who don't follow this kind of don't understand the extent of it because, I don't know.
No. People that don't follow this, so long as they're on your side at least, they will just take your word for it. And people will do the fucking cult shit on the other side and not really look into anything and assume that the other side is correct. I'm someone who has looked into it. I'm someone who had an immense amount of respect for this person and agreed with her on JK Rowling until I actually started listening, until I actually started scrutinizing the words that people were saying about people like JK Rowling. And what I found is that people are lying. There's been so many lies. And we want this, seemingly. We want to be lied to because it feels better than understanding the truth.
I don't know, people throw around all kinds of accusations on Twitter, so it's easy to think that this is some kind of internet drama blown out of proportion. But what you're missing is that if you have not been paying attention to J.K. Rowling's Twitter for the
Which I have.
at this point, we're talking about 4 or 5.
I've been paying attention not only to her Twitter, but everyone else's Twitter who has been endlessly shitting on her, endlessly throwing misogyny her way, endlessly threatening her. Do we talk about that at any point? Do we acknowledge that this stuff went insane? He lives in a castle fashioned house. Yeah. Paid for by her transition. How many other trans people have been so lucky? Very few.
5 years, which is a long time. She's basically used her platform more often than not to do trans bashing.
That's essentialism and that's lying. You're completely wrong on this.
There's a reason why this gets talked about so much because, she's one of the most famous authors in the world with an enormous platform, and she's just using it constantly to target this small and already besieged.
All right, let me explain something. we're talking about the last 5 years. Like, for most of that 5 years, what we've had is a vicious cycle. So, not ContraPoints, who cares about her right now? JK Rowling will say something that gets the ire of trans people. To be fair, sometimes probably some quite offensive stuff at this point. Those people then dump on her for it, and then she dumps back, and then they dump back, and then it just keeps on going. At this point, JK Rowling and trans people not liking each other very much is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because every day, all these utter bizarre people on the internet that scream at JK Rowling constantly, they've irreparably damaged any kind of reputation that trans people could have for JK Rowling, because we decided that her stuff was bigotry when it just isn't. We haven't demonstrated bigotry, I'm sorry. We haven't demonstrated that she is being disingenuous, whichever word you prefer, when she talks about her concern for like women and stuff like that. Which is interesting, because if you do actually pay attention to her Twitter, by the way, she talks about like women's issues and stuff. The kind of women's issues that most like YouTube social justice warriors never talk about, because they just talk about like abortion and call it a day. Oh, that's feminism. Yeah, I spoke about abortion last week. Yeah, call it a day. Amazing.
Minority of people who are facing like all kinds of like legislative and cultural backlash in.
She has drank down the Kool-Aid. And this look on her face. This look on her face. Are we starting to understand yet? Are we starting to understand yet? You need to stop allowing yourself to be gaslit by these people. ContraPoints is someone who made a lot of money because she transitioned. Like, where was she before transition? What kind of videos was she making, and to what kind of audience? I know, because I watched her before she transitioned. It wasn't a big audience. And by the way, her older material was a lot better than what she's doing now. This is like one of those bands that back in the day made some amazing music. And then these days they're just flabby and just throwing out any old rubbish. You know what I mean? This is her flabby, self-indulgent period where it's just about just making yourself feel good and not caring if you're pushing a narrative and not caring whether there's any honesty or any real intellectual weight behind the things you say.
The US and the UK. So it's like really devastating that an author like that's this influential is also like this obsessively devoted.
And she sounds like, I don't know, I haven't heard a huge amount of her like just talking casually because her work is very scripted. But like, I don't know. She sounds a lot like Matt Bernstein actually, which is a bit worrying. Like, why did I trust this person? Is this who she really is? Has this always been who she really is? ContraPoints is YouTube, the AFI, maybe. AFI, Plausible, Deftones, any of those kind of bands. Like, no offense. Any of those bands, their last few albums were not great, let's be honest. And this is the YouTube representation of that.
To contributing to the persecution of this group of people who's already so harassed. But it's also, I don't know, it's also kind of a bizarre spectacle.
That is unbelievably dishonest.
People who's already so harassed.
She sounds brain dead. Like, I thought this person was intelligent. To hear her talk, I'm just like, what? What is going on here? Fuck me. I knew this was going to affect me pretty badly. Because like I said, ultimately, I'm not confronting this person. I'm confronting myself for allowing this person into my head and allowing this person to tell me what to think. Not that she did it deliberately. Not that it really should be me taking this shit personally because I'm just another viewer and that's incredibly parasocial. But that's what happened. I allowed this person to help form a lot of my thoughts on this stuff. And now I'm realizing that it was wrong. Most recent Plausible album was a return to form, in my humble opinion. It was better than Battle for the Sun, and it was better than... Was it Loud Like Love? I can't remember. I think both of those albums are terrible. bar a few decent songs on Loud Like Love. The recent one is decent, but the lyrics sound like they're all written in about 10 minutes. I don't know. Like, they used to be, I get you're not gonna get to your like mid-late 40s and keep doing all the drug and sex references and stuff like that. But with Placebo, it feels like they didn't replace that with anything. You know what I mean? I regret watching her stuff in the past too. I would maintain, if I was to watch some of her other videos, that there's still some good material there. But I cannot trust this person ever again. I don't know. Listen, maybe one day, if this goes anywhere, I'll get the chance to tell her this kind of stuff personally, because more and more people are going to start feeling this way. This stuff is going down the drain. And it honestly saddens me to see someone who I thought was actually intelligent, and I thought was actually honest, going down with the ship. Deftones definitely dropped off. Yeah, Ohms wasn't great. Gore was not great. I liked Koi no Yokan. I think that was kind of the stopping point for me there.
Devoted to to contributing to the
There's people writing those scripts in the videos too. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
persecution of this group.
But the thing is, she didn't always, I don't think. Like, I could be wrong, I don't know. I'm talking about her older stuff, which has all been deleted anyway. And some of it was good, quite honestly. I liked a lot of the cancelling video. Like, it changed my mind. I was one of those morons that was like, oh, cancel culture. It's just cancel culture, more like, what's the word? Consequence culture. And I don't know. Nowadays, it bothers me that it took someone that I would listen to, that I would choose to listen to break that illusion. And for someone like me, it makes me wonder what else there is that I've been kind of coasting on, that I haven't actually been thinking about using my brain, that I haven't been scrutinizing the words being presented to me. Oh, my favorite Deftones album is White Pony, for sure. That's a basic bitch opinion, but I don't know. It is what it is.
People who's already so harassed, but it's also, I don't know, it's also kind of a bizarre spectacle, like in its own right. It's kind of like another reason I feel like we're drawn to this maybe is that it's kind of like darkly fascinating. How does this happen? Like, how do we go?
Darkly fascinating. If women's rights is like darkly fascinating to you, then you have revealed a heck of a lot about yourself in those last few seconds. Jesus.
From like the Gryffindor common room and, Severus Snape to like these unhinged rants about the transsexuals. It's weird.
Unhinged. We have an example. What's that blinking she's doing? What's that blinking? Or like Grouper. I've listened to Grouper. A lot of their stuff sounds the same to me. It's the kind of thing I can enjoy in short doses. Video on the word cringe. Yeah, the cringe video is okay. Although, when I think about like the Rose of Dawn Blair White aspect, she really was just saying, oh, you hate yourself. And I've had that put on me so many fucking times. And I'm sorry, I don't hate myself. I used to. I have lots of reasons why I used to hate myself. But I'm not that person anymore. So I'm sorry. You can think what you want. But what you're doing is making something up to avoid the truth. Because hearing something like this, hearing someone like this being explained and exposed is very inconvenient. And I understand that. You need to break out of your mind prison and understand that this person is lying and that something else is going on here. Look at her face. There's a bit of a smirk again. Is that always happening? Is that always what's happening?
Severus Snape to like these unhinged rants about the transsexuals. It's weird.
It is weird. And I think also, I mean, yeah, if you go to JK Rowling's Twitter...
And he's just going to agree with anything she says because he genuinely has no brain. Like, I don't know. I made another video on Matt Bernstein. There were some very interesting tweets going on that a lot of people were incensed by for good reason. Let's just say that. This is the kind of person that thinks that defending pedophiles is a good idea. Like, ever. Just don't. There are certain things that the answer is always just don't. One of those is defending pedophiles.
Right now and scroll through her feed. It is literal years of talking every single day, almost exclusively.
Okay, now that you've done that, let's do something else. Let's see what people have been atting her with for years and years. Let's see if we can get both sides. Are we gonna show the full story at any point here?
About transgender people for years, which I think is the type of behavior we associate with like boomer Facebook moms. And then I guess in a sense, she kind of would have
Complete nonsense point. What does that even mean?
been that if she hadn't become a billionaire and one of the most famous and beloved children's authors of all time. But she is those things. And the idea of her behaving the way that like are homophobic.
Also, here's a bit of an irony for you. Matt Bernstein needs some matte makeup. He looks a bit sweaty. Mate, matte powder. M-A-T-T-E. Look it up. No, don't just look it up. Learn it, live it, love it.
Aunt does or whatever, but like from some castle in the UK is just like a very jarring image.
I think that summarizes it really well, right? Like it is like your bigoted aunt's deranged Facebook posts, except
Yeah, more nonsense.
on a platform with
See the smile. I'm not going to stop harping on this. If this gets really boring really quickly, if this gets grating, then it's because you're trying to avoid the fact that this is some duper's delight going on. You're being lied to. You can snap out of your delusion anytime you want by just understanding that you're being lied to.
millions of people as the audience. I feel like we as a society have like yet to know how to deal with this type of thing.
Makes me wonder if any TRA trans YouTubes ever have any substantial debates with gender critical trans creators on YouTube. Got to be more diversity of opinion now, surely. Yeah, I mean, the closest I can think of, honestly, is like back when Destiny. Listen, I know everyone hates Destiny. Like, I'm over it. I don't care. Back when Destiny used to talk about like trans stuff a lot and used to push back on things like sports. Like, there's a lot of panels that he jumped in on and stuff to try and make the actual sensible argument. Because believe it or not, he is capable of actually doing that, unlike many people.
Thing because J.K. Rowling's not the only case of it. I mean, like Elon Musk has dabbled a little bit in some similar forms of bigotry with a comparable or even larger platform. But I feel like what's unique about J.K. Rowling is that she's like
Contra doesn't argue at all. Contra doesn't debate.
Single-mindedly focused on trans people as this one.
Contra posts things on Twitter and then deletes them. This is what I used to do when I was like 26 or something. This was what I used to do when I was just beginning to understand that some of this like trans stuff, some of the narratives that people I know were pushing around didn't hold water. And so I'd try and allude to it and then delete things because I'd be like worried about offending the wrong people. Like, it's extremely obvious. This person got cancelled by the mob and then turned back around to the mob and fucking begged forgiveness. And it's sad. You don't do that. You don't do that. It's never enough. The only way it is enough is if you become this, is if you become a sellout. And that's what ContraPoints is now. Like, I'm sorry, again, I'm sorry if this is hard to hear. You need to hear it. I don't care who you are. You need to hear it.
Issue.
So she wasn't always this way, though. And what we're going to do today is use J.K. Rowling as what I think is a valuable case study in the wormhole that transphobia is, the way that it can serve as it has for.
I would love to know, like, I'd love to hear two people like this talk about me. I'd love to hear the difference between what they think is reality and what I know is reality. I would love that so much. Like, call me a narcissist if you want, but my point is, like, I can't imagine listening to two people saying so many wrong things about someone. I can't imagine being that person because I'm like, J.K. Rowling doesn't need to listen to any of this shit. There's no point. She's not going to. But like, yeah, crazy. Contra and Chelsea Clinton working together. I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you.
For J.K. Rowling and so many millions of other people as a portal into the broader world of right-wing ideology that gets...
Right-wing ideology. Here's a question. Why is it... I already did this earlier. I don't care. Why is it that J.K. Rowling, famed right-winger, didn't want to endorse Reform or the Conservative Party of the UK, despite the fact that both of those parties had very amenable to J.K. Rowling policies on gender and sex, but she wouldn't endorse either of them. But she's a right-winger? Like, in what way is she a right-winger? Why do we just get to push these narratives as if they're facts? Because I'll tell you something, I already know that one of the facts, aka this person is a bigot, we've already debunked because I've watched those videos and it's based on nothing. It's based on ContraPoints deciding that.
It's pretty scary pretty quickly. We're going to try to understand why transphobia, and I think especially when it's cloaked, no pun intended, as a progressive feminist cause is an especially effective gateway into the...
Why is it cloaked? When you're saying it's cloaked, you're suggesting dishonesty. Where's the dishonesty?
Alt-right. One day you're reminding people that you just like to be referred... Progressive feminist cause is an especially effective gateway into the alt-right. One day...
Gateway into the alt-right. This video was made in 2024. When was the alt-right pipeline a thing? I didn't even know people still said the alt-right. I thought the alt-right was like Richard Spencer back in the day. This is like old language. When were people talking about this? This is old stuff. Okay, apparently people are still doing it. Jesus Christ. Don't know anything about this. Looks cooked, but I don't know, to be fair. Jimmy the Giant, some of his videos are interesting, but his Twitter presence, he just seems like another Hassan wannabe. And interestingly, he's collaborated with Hassan, so he's only going to get worse from here. I'm sorry, Jimmy the Giant. I thought I might like you, and I was wrong. That's all there is to it. You can prove me wrong. I'd love that. I'd love to be proven wrong on anything. Like, listen. This is where this guy got his entire shit from. This is how Xanderhal, got famous. This is his entire legacy. How I fell down the alt-right pipeline and escaped. 5 years ago. That was when this shit was big. Somehow people are still, like, we've got the PewDiePie pipeline. Non-compete, by the way. I've seen, like, one debate with him, and he seemed utterly unhinged. Like, pushes this anarcho-capitalism stuff, doesn't seem anywhere near equipped to explain what he's even talking about. Like, what is his ideology? Nobody knows, as far as I can tell. But yeah, I'm amazed this shit's still around, man. I didn't think anyone said alt-right anymore. Like, geez, it's usually like MAGA or whatever.
Day you're reminding people that you just like to be referred to as a woman and that you are a woman, and then, you know, the alt-right. One day you're reminding people that you just like to be referred to as a woman and that you are a woman.
Reminding people that you are a woman. I like Jimmy the Giant, but I've only seen his stuff on different social groups like Chavs. Yeah, like I said, some of his videos seem interesting. Like, Charlie's into his stuff. But I don't trust him at all. I'm sorry. Listen, if you're watching, which you're not, you're more than welcome to prove me wrong. You're more than welcome to explain what I'm missing. I would love that. I would fucking love for someone to come and explain to me in a way that actually makes sense what I'm missing with all this. The problem is, they can't, and they're not willing to, even if they could. So what am I supposed to think? That all of this is bunk, and that I've been led up the fucking garden path by people like ContraPoints.
And then, you know, the next day you were participating.
Oh, Knack Trevor, you would not enjoy his content, I don't think, fucking hell. He's like pretty left-wing. And that's not automatically a red flag for me. I'm like left-leaning a little bit.
Participating in Holocaust denial. It can happen to you.
What he's actually explaining is language creep. What he's actually explaining is his own language creep.
Woman, and then, you know, the next day you were participating in Holocaust denial.
Yeah. Nuts.
It can happen to you.
Many such cases.
Many such cases. And so to begin this story, I want to go back to 2019, to the first tweet that I remember seeing of JK Rowling's, her foray into the anti-trans movement, which at the beginning was very tepid. I am going to send...
Foray into the anti-trans movement. Is there even such thing as an anti-trans movement? It's interesting how when people apply labels to people like this, they tend to reject them. Yet they have absolutely no issue doing it to others. By the way, listen, this is a massive tangent. You see what's happening just to my left, on the screen just to my left, this like can with the oversized drinking straw. Do you still see it? It's the same thing. You probably should. What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? Anyway, that's enough of that. That's quite enough of that.
You the tweet.
Dress however you please. Call yourself whatever you like. Sleep with any consenting adult who will have you. Live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs.
By the way, these people no longer have the luxury of saying, Maya Forstater lost this case. She did lose the case and then won the appeal. So she was vindicated. They can't do this anymore. All the terrible video essays about JK Rowling back when this started happening, they all pushed this shit like, oh, well, Maya Forstater lost, so obviously that's all wrong. They can't do that anymore. I'm so happy about that.
Jobs for stating that sex is real. Hashtag I stand with Maya.
I agree 100% with this, by the way.
Hashtag this is not a drill.
Sex is real. That's the whole point. Should I be forced out of a job because I think I'm a male and that this is a male and that ContraPoints is a male and that almost certainly Iman Khalif, who they've also talked about, is a male?
So what was the context of this one?
So the context is that there was a English consultant named Maya Forstater who, I guess she wasn't fired, but her contract was not renewed because she had refused to use the correct pronouns for a trans coworker or something.
The correct pronouns? What makes them the correct pronouns, Natalie?
Along those lines. And a lot of...
Why is it the correct pronouns because someone insists on being called them? Is she, her, she, her the correct pronouns for me? Why? Why are the correct pronouns for me she, her? Just because I'm a trans woman, which is not an actual woman.
Of so-called gender critical, that is transphobic, people in the UK decided to turn this into a celebrated cause. They, rallied behind this hashtag I stand phobic for a trans coworker or something along those lines. And a lot of so-called...
Yeah, could have actually looked it up, I mean? Don't worry about that. Don't make the mistake of seeming intellectually honest for a single second. It was the reaction that got a lot of women spooked. Yeah.
Gender critical, that is transphobic, people in the UK decided to turn this into a celebrated cause. They, rallied behind this hashtag I stand with Maya. The idea being we shouldn't have to submit to gender ideology.
Does Natalie understand how fucking ridiculous it is that it should be a problem if you're to call a male person a male, if you're to say a woman is an adult human female? Does she understand that? Matt Bernstein seems intent on developing an anti-trans movement. Yep, these people are completely complicit in how this supposed anti-trans movement has flourished and has completely dominated in recent years. What we're watching here is it's the most fucking, it's the most incandescent of gasolines you could possibly throw onto a fire to completely blow the whole thing apart. You know what I mean? That's them. That's what they're doing right now. I was thinking of the following Persever. Oh yeah, I like Persever. Yeah, I like that song. I know that song. Nice.
By, using the correct pronouns for trans people in the workplace or whatever. This is where JK Rowling decided to join this discourse officially. She decided to jump in on the side of people who think that it's terribly oppressive to have to use the correct pronouns for trans.
Could you possibly put that in a more leading way? Could you possibly be essentializing more if you tried? I'm starting to see why you don't write your own videos, if that's the case. Someone said it in chat. Don't know if that's true offhand. Starting to seem very likely, unless she has just literally gotten stupider over the course of time, which terrifies me. She's not much older than I am. That makes me wonder if I'm a ticking time bomb, quite frankly. Fuck. I hope something doesn't happen in my brain that turns me into this. I don't care that I've got none of the money or clout or supposed authority as this person does. I don't care because I'm honest. And that's what I care about far more than those things. I don't care if I never make a huge amount of money off of this, because either I'll be able to sustain this, or at some point I will have said everything that I need to say. And either way, I'll be fine with that. So yeah.
Person. And I guess at first, there was some ambiguity because you could be like, well, she's not transphobic. Maybe she just believes in free speech and she thinks.
Yeah, which is a perfectly reasonable take.
That, you know, the people shouldn't be fired for having different opinions. And like, okay, like at first you could sort of plausibly think that maybe giving the benefit of the doubt, that's why.
There's the smirk again. Here we go. Here we go. Where's the lie? It's coming. It's coming.
She was getting involved in this. But like the people who kind of know the pattern that transphobia takes.
People who know the pattern. You don't know her brain. What pattern do you think it is that she's following? You've made this up. The transphobia pattern. What's the transphobia pattern? ContraPoints is blackmailed in a house and is driving her insane. Oh my god.
We all pretty much knew that, oh, okay, she's really transphobic behind the scenes. Like, there's no way.
Oh, well, we know that's not the case and she's really transphobic. That's all they need to say. Listen to me. Listen to me very closely. It's a shame that no one watching right now is going to defend this person. This person thinks you're stupid. I feel like the person talking to me right now thinks I'm stupid. That's how I feel listening to this person. She thinks I'm stupid, and there is nothing that offends me more than someone underestimating me in that way. I know I'm not the most fluent speaker in the world. I know I have a lot of problems in my brain, but I'm not stupid. And I will not be bought in by this shit any longer.
Way that you decide to die on this hill unless you already were.
Oh, you would never die on this hill unless... Why can't people just be intellectually honest when it comes to free speech? Why can't people just think, as a woman, if we're deciding to expand the definition of woman to include males, that could cause problems, like all the problems it's causing. But no, this is propaganda. So of course she's not going to entertain any sensible argument. And there's no way you can now anyway, because what trans people decided to do in the main, not all of us obviously, is go on the attack for years and years based on all this shit. So we'll never really know. We'll never really know where it might have stopped if the response was reasonable. And if people were like, well, hey, I'm a male. If you don't want to call me a she, you don't have to. You can call me a he if you want. I prefer if people don't, but I can't really control your speech. I can't control the way you think. Wow.
At least that's what I think now. I mean, I think JK Rowling was at her most dangerous in 2019 and in 2020 because the stuff she was saying seems kind of
This is what's dangerous, by the way. This is what's dangerous. Is gaslighting. I've been gaslit before. I know what it's like. I know one of the possible outcomes, one of the possible escalations from someone who is willing to gaslight another person. It can get really fucking ugly. I know this shit. So yeah, maybe I'm a bit sensitive being gaslit, but I also know it a mile away because I've experienced some pretty bad people and what those bad people are capable of. And gaslighting is just one of the links in the fucking chain that ends in, I don't know, maybe you get your jaw broken at 19. I don't know.
plausible and reasonable to the average person, you know? And so there's this kind of clever selection of which topics to get behind, right? Instead of just, I don't know.
Based on what? Evidence, please.
Calling trans women men in dresses or whatever. It's like she's defending the right of people to not use the correct pronouns if they don't agree. And
yeah, which is their right. Because the correct pronouns are not whatever the person receiving the pronouns decides. Because you don't have the right to the words from other people's mouths. And the idea that calling a male person a man is hate speech is preposterous on the face of it. Why do you think, like, think for a fucking second. I actually use your fucking brain for a second. Does anyone really think that the reason why I don't care if people call me a he anymore is because I want to, like, placate people that hate me anyway? No, it's because I don't think I have the right to other people's words. And I don't see how it's wrong to decide that a male person should be called a he, when that's kind of how it almost always works in every case other than a small percentage of people that are trans, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how shit has worked. That's how those words have worked. Surprised Blair White and Buck Angel don't react to any ContraPoint stuff. I don't know. I think I don't want to speak for either of those people. Someone like me, I don't anymore. When I started my channel, these kinds of people I found quite intimidating because they have a lot of clout and a lot of influence. And to me, My immediate thought, which is wrong in my opinion, is that there must be a reason for that. And when I watch her long videos with, you know, what seem like sources and what seem like evidence for her points, I think, shit, yeah, this person's looked into it and they've seen the truth. I must agree with them. But what I find when I watch these people is it's not like that. And that actually, the reason they're so prominent, at least on a certain level, at least where it comes to things like JK Rowling, because like I said, some of ContraPoints' other material is actually pretty good. They've duped people. It's a duping. Do you know something is interesting to me? Something is interesting to me. Listen, I'm taking my time. I don't need to rush through. I don't care if this video ends up 3 hours long, and by the time I'm finished, Charlie has like come home, sorted her own dinner out because I've apparently fucked her off and gone to bed. I don't care. I don't care. What I'm thinking is, she made the cancelling video before she really spoke much about JK Rowling. Like, she made a gender critical video, which, to be honest, there was some issues with, but at the same time, that seemed like there were things that she said that at least made a lot more sense than what people are saying now. That a lot of the language is metaphorical. The problem is, it's turned out not to be metaphorical because people literally believe that stuff and often are led to believe that by people like doctors and stuff. Oh yeah, you can completely change sex. By the way, you must do it, otherwise you'll kill yourself. Yeah, cancelling came out 5 years ago. Let's see what the date is on it even. Let's see what the date on it is. January 2020. So, hadn't JK Rowling come out pretty recently about this stuff? Yet, she never made a video about JK Rowling. Possibly because, whilst the JK Rowling stuff was beginning to happen, she was getting cancelled by the very people that JK Rowling was also incensing. But then she seems to have doubled back round and appealed herself to the very cancelling mob that made this video happen. And then a couple of years later, this comes out. Like, why did she wait so long? I'm really interested in that. Are you watching, Natalie? You're obviously not, but I'd love an answer to that. I think that'd be really interesting to discuss.
These people kind of hedge in this way, like when they have a kind of bigoted opinion, instead of just stating it outright, they sort of defend their right to have that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very much what this thing with Maya Forstater is, right? It's like she's not saying something sort of directly transphobic, but she's kind of...
This is not true. You get to say stuff like this because people believe you. If you weren't who you are, this would be just another bunk as fuck SJW video and nothing else.
Indirectly getting there by being like, I'm going to publicly champion Maya's right to be transphobic.
I feel like in the early days,
That's incredibly bad faith. I'm going to champion Maya's right to be transphobic. That is just not how it is. It's got nothing to do with transphobia. It has something to do with thinking that males can't be women. Why is it that the idea that males cannot become female, that males can't be women because women are adult human females, in what way is that transphobic? I am not a woman. I'm a trans woman. I'm post-op. I've been trans longer than Natalie here has. Probably on HRT for a lot longer. I'm not a woman. And I don't want people to feel like they have to call me one if that's not what they want to do. I understand who I am and where I came from. It's not transphobic to agree with me on that. Plausible deniability. Maybe. I don't know. I think it runs way. I cannot talk anymore. I think it runs way deeper than that.
Getting there by being like, I'm going to publicly champion Maya's right to be transphobic.
I feel like in the
What an absolutely abhorrent way of putting that. How utterly dishonest.
early days, she did so much of this plausible deniability stuff where it's like...
No, I'm sorry. Someone in chat, Nak Trevi, it's now 1804, 1803, 55. Nick's bread and butter is plausible deniability. And then as soon as I read that, what does he say? I'm sorry, there's projection at play. Not that he can read my chat, but because people can see problems with one side. And then someone immediately makes that exact same objection about the other side. It's so dodgy.
Maya's right to be transphobic.
Like Matt's beliefs and responses to any of this kind of stuff, it feels canned, it feels cliche, it feels dishonest because he didn't think of any of this shit himself. And he's probably been told what to think about this by this person.
I feel like in the early days, she did so much of this plausible deniability stuff where it's like
he throws these buzzwords around. Do you even know what plausible deniability is? Listen, you're not watching either, but if you are, let's talk sometime. Explain to me what plausible deniability is and how JK Rowling does that. This is just a brainwashing session for every single moron down here. That's all this is. Fuck me. I feel sorry for the people in these people's lives, because if they're that happy to gaslight 654K and counting people, who fucking knows what they're capable of in their private lives? It terrifies me.
You know, I'm just saying sex is real. And right, and like the average person who isn't like a terminally online queer is going to be like, yeah, sex is real, whatever. Like, who cares? You know, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, she was very effective early on at kind of...
Yeah, why is it queers specifically then that have the problem with it? Is it because a lot of them are delusional around their own sex, and rather than face it, they'd rather go on the attack? Interesting how it's terminally online queers who know better. They know better, do they? Why are they so deluded about their own sex then, for one?
Online queer is going to be like, yeah, sex is real, whatever. Like, who cares? You know, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, she was very effective early on at kind of like deciding what it was that she thought people were mad about, right? And so she framed the conversation like, oh, here's why I'm getting backlash. I'm getting backlash because I said, quote unquote, sex is real. And so...
Listen. I'm going to be extremely delusional for a second. There's a version of events where one day I speak to JK Rowling in the future and we react to this. It would be the funniest thing ever. I think there's something amazing about a person hearing two people make up loads of bullshit about them, knowing that everything they are saying is completely pulled out of their ass. It's complete stretching. It's complete, here's what my feelings tell me are the reality, and I'm going to just run with it. Terminally online means you're beyond help. Yes, as a terminally online person myself, you are correct.
It kind of seems like if you believe her account of what people are mad about, then it sounds like everyone who's mad is unreasonable because they're mad at her taking this kind of, what, an abstract philosophical position about the metaphysics of biological sex? Like, right, is that what people are mad about? No, right, it's of course it's not that. It's because she's intervening in the...
People are mad about. Is JK Rowling that interested in what people are mad about? Or is she interested in pushing a certain opinion, that being that women are women? What's the more likely thing here? Why do we have to go to such lengths with all this bizarre, like, pop psychology shit, when the more obvious answer could just be that she cares about women's rights and sees a problem with things like young girls transitioning in mass only to start detransitioning en masse, which is what we're seeing the beginnings of. If not the beginnings, like, it's underway. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know, Occam's razor.
This social and political debate, right, on the side that wants trans people functionally not to exist in public life, not to be acknowledged in public life. So that's what people are mad about, right? But early on, I think she was able to kind of frame her position as being this, like, I don't know, almost philosophical position about the reality of sex or something.
So, like, this is what I mean. If you have to go to these lengths to justify your thoughts without ever just talking to the person or talking to someone that thinks like that person, at what point does it not just become likely that the far simpler solution is the solution? The simpler explanation, should I say, is the explanation. At one point, do we just understand that we're tying ourselves in knots to what? So that Natalie can pretend she's a woman? You're not a woman. You look like one, sure. You look way more like one than I do, and I've been trans longer than you. Well done. Well done. You made money off your transition. Most people don't. Lots of people continue to be miserable and then kill themselves.
You know, that's what she wanted to make it sound like, instead of a political position about the place of transgender people in society.
When you
We are reaching into her head.
saw that tweet were like alarm bells ringing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I
Yes, because you're paranoid as shit, and because you realize, hey,
When you first saw that,
because you realize this is the very first inkling, the very first piece of the attack, of the first ring of the death knell for your entire shtick. Because this is where we're at now. This shit's coming crashing down. Even the biggest doctors that are pushing trans doctrine, that want children to transition, they're all guilty of the same shit as all the ones lower down. All the grubby, money-hungry freaks that will transition anyone that sets foot in their door. They will tell the parents that their kid's going to kill themselves, even if their parent is, even if the kid is not suicidal. This is why alarm bells started ringing, Natalie. It's because this was the start of the end. And it's just taken a long time. Because you made strides. You helped shape the culture. You helped change minds. But minds can change back, or can change again, based on developing circumstances, like increasing amounts of young girls transitioning, and then realizing it wasn't right for them. And now they can't breastfeed their kids. And now they can't potentially get pregnant when maybe they would have wanted to, now that they've realized that this trans shit is not for them. What do you have to say about that? When have you ever spoken about detransitioners and, really been honest about it instead of just brushing them under the carpet like everyone else? Because JK Rowling was talking about some of this shit early on. Young autistic girls like transitioning, not helping them. Maybe a few of them, because there's probably going to be some genuine gender dysphoria cases with no obvious cause in there. But that's what's happening.
tweet were like alarm bells ringing?
Anyone who decides what another person's motives are without evidence doesn't deserve to be listened to. Yes, true. And like I said, I know where their claims of bigotry come from. And I've already analyzed those. And they're wrong. And I would love for someone to come onto my stream and talk to me about this and explain how this is not insane, how this is not mass gaslighting. I'd love that. But no one wants to defend any of this shit because they can't. So they sit in their mansions and make bitchy podcasts about someone they don't know and have never had an interaction with, and that they don't know the thought process of. So they just put together an alternative timeline and lie to the world. And sadly, the world takes on their lies because those lies make them feel good. Because the people that made this appalling video are saying that you can be a woman if you want to be a woman, even if you're a boy. The problem is you can't. And just because that makes you feel good to think, that doesn't mean it's the case. There is no way that a male can take on womanhood. I've been through the process. I know this. I don't know what I need to fucking say. I literally have gone through the process. What womanhood have I taken on at any point? Aside from people just calling me one. Someone calling you something doesn't make you it. I could spend every day of my life getting a heavy fake tan put on and insist that I'm Indian and that everyone should call me Indian. I'm an Indian person because what you see is an Indian person based on my skin color. It doesn't make me Indian. I'm a fucking white person. I'm British. I'm male. I took hormones. I got surgery. That hasn't changed that I'm a male. I'm sorry. I have not taken on womanhood. And no one else has either that's male. Am I detrans? No, I'm not detrans. I am very compelled to be feminine. So I'm honestly okay with the fact that I've done this to myself. Maybe that'll change, but I don't know. At the moment, as far as I know, I don't really have any health problems as a result of it. I didn't want kids anyway. Realistically, I can't get my penis back. It is what it is. I don't mind. I'm fine with being what I am. And if what I am is some effeminate, feminized male eunuch then that's fine. You can think that of me. I don't give a fuck. I truly don't give a fuck if people think I'm a man or a woman. I don't care. And this whole thing is based on caring way too much what people think privately and what people say about you privately and what people believe, which you have no right to. You have no right to others' beliefs. You can't force someone to believe what you believe. You can't force someone to see you the way you see yourself. And it gets essentialized. Oh, well, you're debating my existence. No one's debating any of your existences. They're debating your self-ID. They're debating your self-perception. Which, by the way, they call it like medical gatekeeping if a doctor dares to disagree that someone might be trans. Yet, that's kind of their job. Medical gatekeeping is necessary. Disagreeing with someone's self-perception when someone is delusional is something that a doctor will have to do. But yet we've created this new class of people where none of that's okay anymore. Because what we want is to say we're a thing and have everyone else unquestioningly accept that we're a thing that we're not. And then what do we get? Males in women's sports, amazing. We're all feminists, apparently. Has there been 1,000 medals yet that male people have taken off of women in women's sports, despite the fact that males have their own sports, which, interestingly, females are basically never competitive in, so it only goes one way. Why is it that women are the ones getting fucked over? Is it not inconceivable that someone like JK Rowling, an actual woman, unlike any of the people involved here, myself, Natalie, Matt Bernstein, none of us are women. Is it not inconceivable that JK Rowling might have a problem with some of the things that I've just mentioned? But it's easier to come up with some alternate explanation and pretend that she has literally become Voldemort or something. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at that point, I was like, yeah, I basically internally thought there was like a 999 out of 1,000% chance that it's, as people say, over, right?
Right.
It's so over, right? Like, I basically already kind of knew that, but I also kind of knew that, like, well, most people aren't going to notice that it's over until she says something more explicit.
Until she's doing Holocaust denial.
Yeah, until she's doing Holocaust denial, exactly. But of course,
She has not done Holocaust denial.
I've seen enough people who kind of start this way with this, like,
If I pass perfectly, would I still do this? Yes. Because what I look like does not determine who I am. What I look like does not change whether I'm an honest person or not. And what I look like does not change my experiences. I can't conceive of a world where I passed better and then conceive of all those different experiences I would have had because I passed perfectly. I can't do that. That's impossible. So I can only like picture it in a way that I've had the same experiences and I look better than I happen to. And no, I wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be any different. I'm sorry. Might be a tough question. Do you think if you were younger and had the same perspective you do now, would you not have transitioned? Yeah, I probably wouldn't have. It's extremely complicated because I guess I was a very late bloomer, and it's taken a long time to become at peace with myself, I guess, because there's been a lot of issues for a long time. And nowadays it's a lot better. But I don't know. Like, the way my life has gone, there was no saving me, and it's fine. I probably shouldn't have had kids anyway. God knows what I'd be passing on. But I didn't need to, ultimately. When I think about it, like, being more feminine is preferable to me, sure. But I don't know that I'd have needed to. And I don't know. The problem is I can't go back and change my own perspective. And I can't go back and make myself less susceptible to being lied to. Because that is something that is just true of me. Like, fuck, I've been in extremely ill-advised relationships where I've been sucked in by someone extremely dishonest and then abused as a result of it. So I know how naive I used to be, and that naivety is something that went away gradually with experience, you know? It makes you think I don't see myself reverting back to a TRA, personally.
flirtation with bigotry, where stage one is usually like, well, I support the right for people to be bigots. Like, I don't like that there's this like cancel culture, whatever, politically correct, you can't say anything anymore. Like, it's kind of, that's usually like the parade.
See, this is the thing. We're taking bigot as red. So really, there isn't actually any point in me watching any of this. Because once again, we have exactly the same problem. I'll try and skip to the Holocaust shit, I guess, just to nail it down. But it's the same problem with her original video about J.K. Rowling. She didn't show bigotry and then invited you to accept her definition of J.K. Rowling as being a bigot without evidence. Certainly not sufficient evidence. Just theory. And that's not how you do things. Like, you've come up with a theory as to what she might mean. But that doesn't mean that that's what she means. Because you don't know this person. You don't know her thought patterns. Like, you can claim to be an expert on someone because you've read fucking Harry Potter, for example. I don't know. It's arrogant to think that you can reach into someone's head like this. But it's also lucrative. And if you have no morals and if you have no scruples, then this is something you'll end up doing. Look at the smirk on her face. Are we remembering that term? Duper's delight? This is on full show. This shouldn't be affecting me so much, but like, just watching it, it's like, fuck, man. Like, what was I thinking? Fuck, man. Like, I will just watch for a bit.
Allude to a bunch of bigoted stuff. It's kind of like a softer way of getting a foot in the door. Like, you're not necessarily committing yourself to saying anything bigoted, but you'll stand up for the right of people to say that, and you don't like how, vicious people are being towards people.
Look at this grin. We're talking about bigotry and how vicious someone supposedly is. That's typically not a thing you gleefully talk about. That's typically not a thing where you can't stop yourself from smiling. Can you see? I don't care. I do not give a single fuck how schizo this sounds. To me, it looks like this is like automatic tensing up. She's not trying to smile. You just can't not. Like, it's tensing up. It's like if you're anxious and you feel like your upper lip like tense up when you're trying to speak. That's what it is. That's what I'm seeing. Again, I don't know that. But why would you grin while talking about this? Why would you grin while talking about bigotry? People who are
getting criticized for saying more bigoted things. In retrospect, it was clear that she's preparing the way to be the one saying those bigoted things herself.
For a while longer, well into 2020, she like continues this road of like, sex is real. And so I'm going to send you another thread.
It's funny how I know all of these. It's like by heart practically.
It's like song lyrics.
Right. I'm like a scholar of the things that J.K. Rowling has said about trans people, right? Like, oh yes, tweet 7.
Oh, thank you. People need to do it. No, I don't think it's got anything to do with lip filler. I think it's got to do with she's not actually very confident of the things she's saying. And I think this is the tell. Again, I could be wrong. I don't know this person. I'm not a body language or face muscle, whatever, expert, but you gotta look at the evidence in front of you. You gotta look at what's going on. That's just how it is. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna get every single thing correct watching this video, but I'm watching a video where two people call someone bigoted over and over, having not shown bigotry. So I don't know. I think either way, I'm okay. I don't know. That's just how Contra's witch mouth is. No, I disagree with you. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't know that I'm right, but I disagree. I don't remember seeing a talk like this to this extent.
And verse 3, like
I know, because we've read these fucking tweets so many times.
I know. It's been like the last 4 years has been dominated by having to read these terrible opinions again and again. This is
do you think maybe you've read them so many times that you've lost the ability to understand? Do you think that's the case? Especially when the very first time you got it wrong, and every other time since then you've just reaffirmed yourself. You know what I mean? Body language psychology is very flawed. I'm sorry if you don't see what I'm seeing. But there is no way that someone will normally talk about something that's supposedly bigoted and harmful with a grin like this on their face. I'm sorry. I disagree with you. There's nothing you can say right now. Maybe later I'll think about it more and change my mind a little. I'll put a fucking disclaimer somewhere. But I'm convinced. I'm sorry.
But honestly, no one should be allowed to get this famous. It's too dangerous.
Okay, but for the normal people listening who aren't so online, do you want to read what she tweeted on June 6th?
Yeah, for the normal people, make sure you get make sure we suck you in too, yeah? Make sure that we queer people explain why this is bigotry. Because you're only going to get the truth from the queer people, I guess.
I believe 2020.
Dear normal people, this is me reading from the Book of Rolling, chapter 6. Quote, if sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased.
True. What does it mean to be a woman if woman is not a sex term?
Know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth.
And now we get the Italian footballer thing. Perfectly reasonable take. It's a bit like you're on a football field and someone else jogs past you and maybe slightly glances your arm. And then you fling yourself to the floor, grabbing your leg. Oh, my leg is broken. But no one touched your leg.
Tweet 2, the idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, that is to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real. And
Sorry, my brain is spinning around a bit. Let me just catch up. The idea that women like me who've been empathetic to trans people for decades. I mean, obviously no one that doesn't believe you is gonna... This is not Kaylin Conrad. I almost wish it was, even though I think that person is a ghoul. I did a video covering Kaylin Conrad and someone else, talking about Magdalene Burns, who I'd recently watched a bunch of videos from, and had come to the conclusion that she'd been massively smeared, and that I also had been complicit in that because I read 3 tweets and was like, this person's a Nazi, and it's just not true. It's just not true. And she's dead, so she can't defend herself. So it's perfect. Fuck me. Disgusting. This isn't a hate movement. This isn't a hate movement that I just stumbled into by transitioning. Oh yeah, please keep telling me that. Please keep telling me that. Feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women. Because they think sex is real. Yeah, this is literally how I feel. Do I hate trans people? Why would I hate trans people when I am trans? Yeah, I'm not saying it's a science. Listen. We don't need to get pedantic over everything I say and make points that no one was saying. I mean, you can. I'll just start ignoring you. You know, you're not helping anyone right now.
has lived consequences. It is a nonsense. Sorry, I cannot say.
He's laughing. What's funny? What's funny there?
Is real and has lived consequences. It is a nonsense. Sorry,
Oh, it's because she read it in a stupid voice. Yep, there we go. The straw man voice. Here we go.
I cannot say. I can't say. It's a nonsense without doing it in an English accent. I'm gonna switch to doing an English accent for the last one because I feel like it.
Anti-British racism, but okay.
I just feel like I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against.
Well, show the discrimination. She's saying she doesn't necessarily think there's discrimination, so why not show it? But people didn't show it. They just screamed at her. How is that not going to make someone double down? Fuck me. This is the same person. This is the same person that made an actually very thoughtful video about incels, about actually trying to empathize with a group that is hated by most people. This is the same person.
I can't say it's a nonsense without doing it in an English accent. I'm going to switch to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
I'd march with
Well, no, it's not.
you if you were being
Hi, Baz Tom. Thank you so much.
discriminated against.
Yeah, that's a big, big red flag, right? And this was like the same month that like in the US,
Explain why. Stop just broadly stating things.
like Donald Trump had like announced like an intention to like ban trans healthcare.
Yes.
The notion that like discrimination against trans people is this like hypothetical thing that might occur in the future, right?
If ever there was a trans person who faced bigotry on the basis of their identity, I would stand up for them. But that hasn't happened yet, so I'm not standing up.
Yeah, right. No one's ever been discriminated against for being trans, but like if it does happen, I'll march with you.
But, okay, first of all, by the way, these tweets got hundreds of thousands of likes, and people
Yes.
were like, yes, you're a warrior. But it's like, again, a normal person who isn't super online. And I mean, you know, from the...
It's so stupid. Do you have anything else to say? Oh, well, you're normal and you don't go online, so you don't know what she actually means. Is JK Rowling terminally online? Why would you... I mean, maybe she is nowadays, but like... Why are we using, like, the terminally online queer lens to explain someone that is not really a terminally online queer in any way? Like, you're just wrong automatically. You don't understand where this is coming from, and you're pretending that you are an authority on this. Like, how do you come to that conclusion except through blind arrogance? The same blind arrogance that makes him defend nonces on the internet. Do we have to do that thing again? Maybe I don't know, I never redo clips. We can just find it. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? We got ages. New message. I don't want to message people, especially not that.
Queer and pro-trans end, but also from like the super like turfy anti-trans end. Like if you aren't part of either of those groups, you're reading this and you're like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like,
no, they're probably the ones actually understanding it because they aren't fucking retards. Because they go outside occasionally.
what is this sex is real thing? Like what is she talking about?
What is the sex is real? What is she talking about? What is she talking about? I don't know, Matt. Maybe what she's fucking saying is that sex is real. Maybe what she's fucking saying is that a male cannot be a woman and that a female cannot be a man. It's really not difficult unless you are trying to not understand it. You dumb fuck. You liar.
It's a weird argument, right? Because it seems like, on the surface like it's like a linguistic point that she's...
Sex is real is a weird argument. No, it's a fairly self-explanatory fucking argument, you dumb fuck. How the fuck did I listen to this person for any length of time? I am legitimately angry at myself.
Trying to make, right? There's this idea, like she says, quote, if we get rid of the concept of sex, that removes the ability of many to discuss their lives. Okay, this is what I think the assumption is. It's like, if we acknowledge that trans people are who they say they are, then that means that none of the rest of us can talk about how gender has impacted our lives, right? In other words, if a trans woman is a woman, then I guess, I, JK Rowling, can never talk about the way that I have been discriminated against for being a woman. I mean, it's a little bit of an oppression Olympics almost kind of argument where it's like there can only be one oppressed group, right? And if we talk about...
When has she said there can only be one oppressed group? I think more likely she's trying to say that... I think more likely what she's saying is that women face unique oppression for being women. I think that's more likely. That's a pretty basic, feminist term. That's a pretty basic feminist argument, I'm sorry. I'm shouting like Max, amazing. Gender is real. I mean, I guess, in terms of how society is real, and gender is sex, X, society, social stuff, culture, etc. Remember the stream title? Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Then we're changing the title. Then we're changing the fucking title, aren't we? We'll just do that. And then I am upholding my title because I changed it. That's my right. That's my right. That's my right to do. Supposed to be playing.
About how, there's no way to include trans people, as a valid concept without sort of somehow deleting or erasing the entire concept of women, which, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? In fact, J.K. Rowling will later use this as an example. Okay, what does it mean to erase women? I mean, well, okay, so she'll use the example of...
So some people might see it as erasing women if you're saying a man can be a woman. So therefore then the category of the woman now means nothing. That could be seen as erasure.
Okay, some hospital somewhere on a piece of paperwork uses the term pregnant person instead of pregnant women. Why? Because there's transgender men who can and have gotten pregnant. And so saying pregnant people is a more even if you find that to be an awkward phrase, it's still a more inclusive phrase that is going to help trans men who need reproductive health care that, conventionally would be women's health, right? I just don't understand why making it inclusive to transgender men somehow deletes the concept of women from existence. What? It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like it's
Okay. Evidence of Matt Bernstein being a disingenuous fuck. Strong reaction to this undoubtedly difficult subject. All I said is that I don't believe in state-sanctioned barbaric punishment. What's he talking about? Doesn't believe in state-sanctioned barbaric punishment, although someone shoots someone, fair enough, I guess. That's pretty barbaric in a way. Even if you don't like the person that got shot, it's pretty barbaric, I would say. What's he talking about? What's he talking about? Can I even still find it? I bet it's been fucking deleted or something. What's he talking about? What's he talking about? Please stop spurging about Wicked and your favorite murderer. I'm not going to find it. It's in my last video anyway. Oh, no, here we go. Doesn't believe in barbaric state punishment. This is a reactionary opinion. You cannot reform sexual predators, rapists, pedophiles, etc. The moment you commit a sexual assault offense, you should be castrated. In an era where all LGBT people are being portrayed by the far right as sexual predators by default, listen, there's people that watch me that I might categorize as somewhat far right. None of these people are calling me a pedophile or a predator by default. I don't remember the last time someone insinuated that I might be a predator. I don't know that I've ever had that, in fact. Not in living memory. I can't remember. It might have happened, but fucking hell, it doesn't happen often. Does it happen to you often? That's pretty fucking weird. So yeah, he's suggesting that, well, we shouldn't do this because LGBT people might get... Who's been talking about LGBT people until you? What white person experiences discrimination? I've literally had someone be racist against me. That's actually true. I'm not going to explain it to you because you'll just tell me that that's not true, but it's true. Someone was racist against me once. What do you think would be the end result? He's just assuming, yeah, well, obviously then it would just be like all the LGBT people will be killed. He's a fantasist. And what's this got to do with opposing barbaric punishment? No, he's decided that everyone thinks that half the country, should I say, thinks that all LGBTQ people are predators by default. And that's not true. What white man? Fucking hell. I'm going to time you out if you don't stop. Men experience discrimination. If you do not think that's true, then you need to get the fuck out because I'm not dealing with you a second longer. I think you might actually be quite racist, Raven. I mean that sincerely.
A weird pretext for being prejudicial.
How many white men have been denied custody of their children for no particularly good reason? I don't know. There's one example. Why don't you think about that and stop bullshitting me?
Well, and it's just such a lie. I mean, you see this a lot with TERFs.
It's just such a lie. If Matt Bernstein says so, it must be true. Fucking hell. Matt Bernstein, who likes to connect gay people to pedophilia. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Have whatever the timeout is that is, because I think you're spewing nonsense. We're not intersectionals here. And I don't give a fuck. Systemic. Why does it have to even be racism, by the way? White males experience systemic issues the same way that any other males do. Look at sentencing. How often males get way worse sentences than women for similar crimes. Look at custody. Look at how often the male is not favored in custody for children when there's a divorce. You need to sort your shit out, mate. It's not my job to fix your thinking for you. And I think you're actually quite bigoted. I think you've come full circle. And also, stop watching fucking Javan Bradley. He's a fucking knob.
Exclusionary radical feminists. It's like the arm of quote unquote feminism that is basically just defined by transphobia, especially towards trans women.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would say that it's especially towards trans women. I would say that they're especially vitriolic towards trans women, and they kind of vilify trans women, are sort of cast as dangerous predators. But
are they? A lot of gender criticals watch my stuff. I don't get made out to be dangerous. Do you know who has made me out to be dangerous in recent memory? Other queer people. Because I said something like, I don't think they, them is working out and people are not bothering anymore. And then get told that I'm dangerous or I'm unsafe to be around. I timed her out. If she comes back and stops being ridiculous, then cool. If she is going to keep being ridiculous, then she's not coming back today, that's for sure. Maybe another time, but not today, because I can't be bothered. I've got something to do. I don't know if it's obvious. I'm kind of busy right now.
Trans men, I feel like the way that a lot of, like, including J.K. Rowling, like, talk about trans men is like quite reprehensible, I think, too. Like, usually the idea is like trans men are like confused girls who've been.
Oh, the way she talks about them is reprehensible. But let's not bring up an example. Let's just make something up that maybe she said, that you decided that she said, or that she thinks, when you don't know what's in her head.
And like tricked by like the medical establishment, like the evil cabal of endocrinologists who have like somehow like hoodwinked vulnerable girls into.
Here's what my experience of intersectionality and that line of thinking is when it becomes practical. What it comes across to me as is that there's a lot of people out there that use things like intersectionality as a replacement for empathy. So instead of getting to know a person and humanizing them, irrespective of who they are on the outside, irrespective of what their race is or their gender or whatever, they just want to add people up like equations. Like, well, I don't have to care about how you feel because you're a white man next to this black disabled trans woman or something. That's how it's come across to me over and over. And again, I would love to be proven wrong. I'd love for someone to talk to me and explain what's actually going on. But when I question things, people don't come to me and talk to me. They just want to spit bile all over me. So what am I to think? What I am to think is that these people are sociopaths and they don't give a fuck about any of this.
Into thinking that they're men, which of course is like not how the healthcare system works at all. Like you really have to scream and cry to get hormones. Like no one is persuading you to do this. In fact, quite the opposite. Everyone is telling you not to. So the idea that trans men or that any kind of assigned female at birth trans person is.
Matt Trevi, do you have anything to like actually back that up? Because you're doing the same thing that she is right now. They largely think this. Okay, based on what? What are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Can I get any context from anything you're saying here?
This sort of confused, vulnerable baby child. Like it's not vilification to the extent that they vilify trans women as dangerous predators, but it's infantilizing in a way that I think can be just as harmful in its consequences, right? When someone says, oh, you scream and cry to get hormones, like no one is persuading you to do this. In fact, quite the opposite. Everyone is telling you not to. Confused girls who've been like tricked by like the medical establishment, like the evil cabal of endocrinologists.
We watched a thing earlier where a girl's parents were told, despite not being suicidal, that she would kill herself if not put on this treatment. We know that that's a thing that happens. So we know better than this.
Who have like somehow like hoodwinked vulnerable girls into thinking that they're men, which of course.
Well, something's doing it. Fucking hell. I mean, a girl can't be a man, so something's doing it. You can pretend it's not happening all you want because you've got your idiot friend here to back up everything you say, because God fucking forbid we have a queer conversation between two queer people that disagree on like anything ever, you know?
It's like not how the healthcare system works at all. Like you really have to scream and cry to get hormones. Like
you really have to scream and cry to get hormones. What? So there's no financial incentive for these doctors to fucking hand them out? There's no financial incentive? Like, fuck me. I wish I had the fucking WPATH files to hand. There was a thing, and I refer to this often. There was a doctor. Yeah, just don't be a cunt and you can stay, okay? There was a doctor. The line that he drew on where to not transition someone was a person or a child, should I say? I think it was. Don't quote me. I can't remember exactly. They were hallucinating in the room. They were that bad that even that person would not treat them, that doctor. Anyone short of that, they would. There were conversations where if someone's got DID, just convince all of the alters that they need to transition. Natalie is actually just lying here. She doesn't know any of this. Has she read the WPATH files?
No one is persuading you to do this.
No one is persuading the parents of children that their kid might kill themselves. So what, all these detransitioners that are saying, this is what they said. They're lying? Is that what it is? This is just bullshit. Honestly, I don't know that I'm going to watch much more of this because I'm incensed. I'm disgusted. They tried to transition me before I knew the consequences. Good thing I decided against it. They're very pushy. Yeah, why wouldn't the doctors want to transition people when that's where their money's coming from? Bizarre.
In fact, quite the opposite. Everyone is telling you not to. So,
oh, the doctors are telling you not to when they're telling your parents that you'll kill yourself if they don't do it? Is that the case? How many detransitioners has Natalie spoken to, I think? Contra disappoints. Yep.
So the idea that
listen, I may not be anywhere near as attractive as this person. That's fine. I don't want to be, because I have something way better than this person.
trans men, or that any kind of assigned female at birth trans person is this sort of confused, vulnerable baby child. Like,
some of them are. What did we watch earlier? Clementine Breen, who was sexually abused, who was, her parents were told that she'd kill herself when she was not suicidal, who actually became suicidal whilst being trans, who had a mastectomy at, what was it, 16 or something. Like, I do not believe what I'm hearing, honestly. I'm shocked. I've been just in the zone shouting at this stupid video, and it's now starting to weigh quite heavy on me.
It's not vilification to the extent that they vilify trans women as dangerous predators, but it's infantilizing.
What, do people do that in general? Or do they talk about the people that actually do those things, which is many of them? What, do you want some examples? How about Chris Tyson, all the weird shit they were doing on Discord with minors? How about Demon Mama, who watched and barely intervened as her also trans girlfriend showed like dildos off to a 14-year-old on Discord? Or what about, what was her name? Katie Dolatowski or something in Scotland got sent to a women's prison after raping a 10-year-old girl. Here's the thing. Yes, it is completely wrong to say that trans people in general or trans women in general are predators. But what happens is we go too far on the other side. And any time that people try and talk about the actual issues and the actual predators in our midst, like, I don't know, Rose Montoya, who supposedly, like, what did she do? She's accused of sexually assaulting 5 trans men. Or Lexi Secker, who tried to start up a trans YouTube career having raped someone.
In a way that I think can be just as harmful in its consequences, right? When someone says, oh, you can't
harmful how?
Make decisions about your own body because you're too confused and childish. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
That's not what we're saying. You can't make decisions about your body because you are too confused and childish. I mean, that's not my line. That's not why I think children shouldn't transition. What I think is that a lot of these children don't really understand the long-term effects, especially when it's presented to them as, well, you can just socially transition and see how you feel. Well, you can just take puberty blockers and see how you feel. Well, you can just graduate to testosterone and or estrogen, and or doesn't make sense, whatever. And you can just come off them and, you know, you can just get a mastectomy, and if you're not happy, you can just get implants. You can grow facial hair, and then when you decide you don't want it anymore, just get it lasered off. It's insane. It's got nothing to do with, I think that people can't make decisions about their own bodies. By the way, the law thinks that children can't make certain decisions about their bodies. How old do you have to be to drink in the US? Even adults can't be trusted with alcohol, apparently, in the US. Like, it's lower in my country. Why can't children get tattoos? Are they too stupid to make decisions about their own bodies? Why can't a child consent to having sex with an adult? Are they too stupid to understand? Are they too stupid to make those decisions about their bodies? How many examples do you want of other things that children cannot do and cannot consent to? And yet you've decided arbitrarily that trans is this hallowed thing that you cannot question. At least that's how it seems. Again, Any of these people that I talk about are welcome to come and tell me why I'm wrong. Are welcome to explain this shit to me. Until then, I will listen to the things they say, and I will, I will think whatever I think based on the evidence. And unfortunately, some of us are too intelligent to fall for your bullshit. I'm sorry about this. Minors can't use tanning beds in California. Oh, well, that's crazy. Like, it's like they think that children are too stupid to be able to make decisions about their own bodies. Children know who they are. Yeah, fucking hell. I'm just waiting for you know what your gender is at 3 years old. Wait, no, it's Chase Strangio. There are 2-year-olds that know who they are.
That has devastating consequences, which we see. And any feminist should be aware of how this works, because this is what they say about abortion. It's what they say about contraception. It's what they say about women.
Abortion. When do we ever talk about abortion about children? Like, a child probably shouldn't be getting pregnant. So yeah, it's a bit of a different case, no? Oh man. Let's just equate it to other stuff that's got nothing to do with it and which are actual female shit, you know what I mean?
Women's health in general. Shut up, little girl, right? You can't make decisions about your body. We'll do it.
Yeah. If you want to have sex with a 30-year-old as a 13-year-old, that's you making a decision about your own body. Like, fuck all those people saying that, pedophilia is bad, right? Please complete the circle for me.
Do it for you. And that's exactly the same thing JK Rowling is essentially.
Exactly the same. She's stuttering a lot here. Like, fucking hell. She really does not believe the things she's saying. Again, I'm probably reaching. I'm probably getting a bit schizo over this shit. I don't care. I am right about this. I know it. I feel it.
Which we see. And
I've been lied to so many times in my fucking life that I just know now. I'm sorry. This is what happens. Eventually, people mess with the wrong people. Like JK Rowling, for example. Who's not stupid enough to fall for your shit.
Any feminist should be aware of how this works, because this is what they say about abortion. It's what they say about contraception. It's what they say.
The smirk is like in full force. I literally don't care if you disagree with me on this. An ironic Vorsh argument, yeah.
About women's health in general. Shut up, little girl, right? You can't make decisions about your body. We'll do it for you. And that's exactly the same thing JK Rowling is essentially saying to trans men.
Essentially.
And TERFs, especially towards trans men, do.
Oh, here we go. Nebulous appeal to group of people where I can say what the fuck ever I want about people. But because I'm not talking about any one person, I don't have to worry about slander. I can just say what the fuck I want. Disgusting.
Do this like, we're losing our lesbians. They're.
Bruv. This is just true. I'm sorry. I've been out to gay bars and shit. I have no idea which ones are fucking lesbians and which ones are trans men anymore. Samantha Lux claimed that children transitioning and paedophilic sex is incomparable. It's very arbitrary. Why is it that we're talking about things and it matters? It makes sense to compare to abortion, but not to tattoos or inappropriate sexual relations that at the time might feel right. And at the time, you might convince yourself are okay or be manipulated into thinking it's okay and want to defend it because you end up with some vested interest. You might care about the person that has sexually assaulted you because you couldn't consent. It's nuts. It's
We're all becoming trans men thing, which that as a refrain, I just don't understand at all because
yeah, you don't understand anything, Matthew. That's probably why. Why don't you just fucking suck on your oversized drinking straw of fail and shut the fuck up? Because no one should be listening to you. You should not be talking with any authority about anything. Not the losing the lesbians. It's happening. What do you want me to say? Do you know? Do you not know, I'm sorry, that some of these people that transition, it's because they can't handle the fact that they're gay.
Statistically, when you look at the number of Gen Z people who are coming out as queer under every single one of
coming out as queer, meaningless. You're calling yourself something.
The letters, it's higher.
Yeah. A gay man who doesn't understand women. Ha, Funny how so many of these arrogant fucking gay men that are just clearly misogynistic. Yeah, I don't care. I can't be asked to fucking play nice anymore. None of them know fucking anything about women. The women they know are all men.
In all of them.
Right.
Like, there are more out lesbians today.
Where are they going to? Well, the idea is that they're transitioning, Raven. Are you keeping up? Are you listening? Or are you like miles behind?
That there have ever been.
Yes, right. There's never been more lesbians. Like, yeah.
More people than ever are coming out as queer, therefore there's never been more lesbians. What are you talking about? Where are you getting this from? Like, what is this based on?
Like,
and to be clear, I love that.
Yes, it's good. It's good, actually. Yeah. No.
Well, it's good that people are coming out as queer, okay? What does queer mean?
I mean, I feel like it comes from, it's like a very like selfish, like childish perspective. It's almost like, no.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's projection. Selfish, childish perspective. Childish. Like, what is more childlike than half of these fucking trans people? I'm sorry. What are you talking about? You're missing the old Mary. Listen, earlier on I was being very calm and very kind, I think. We watched a thing about someone called Clementine Breen. I wasn't soying out constantly. I watched Amethysta, someone I think is a liar. I wasn't getting angry. But this is disgusting me. This is fucking foul. And the fact that this person might even still be like the biggest trans woman YouTuber, I'm not sure. Might be Philosophy Tube, to be fair, who is also awful. But hey, I will give Philosophy Tube some credit. She's not in this video right now saying any of this shit. They're talking about she, they, demi-lesbians with husbands. Yeah, probably. Every other woman's subreddit has been colonized a long time ago. Most mods of actual lesbians, lesbian fashion advice, etc. males. That's shocking, I know. There was a women's rape center in Scotland where the person running it, despite it being a woman's position, the person that got the job and was running it was a male. They ended up being investigated because there was a lot of failings there.
No, don't transition. You're so sexy. Aha. You know, like, like I feel like that's kind of like what, like, and like some gay women do say this about trans men. Like, no, like all the butch women are transitioning. Like, it's like, fuck, I wanted to fuck them before. No. And it's like, okay, well.
Who was saying this? What have you shown? A meme. Contra only posts videos on a Patreon. Yeah, I had to look down and it looks, dumb.
Too bad. Like other people.
Lesbians like Christian. South Park predicted Iman Khalif. Yep. Listen, I was telling people for years that the transports thing needs to stop. That it's unconscionable.
People don't have to live their lives in accordance with what you find sexual.
That's why they hate JK. She opened up another rape center for women only. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. My brain is like mince at this point. It weighs quite heavy on me. The way these people talk and the way these people lie and propagate. Trans was not something that was supposed to be lied about or propagated. It was just supposed to be a personal decision that you might make because you feel a certain way. And now it's this political movement that is going to drag most of us down with it and possibly kill quite a lot of us. But that's not me, because I'm not going down with the ship, so I know I can't. I don't. Can I make it to 20 minutes at least? Okay, I'll try.
Actually attractive. Like again, as a woman, you should know this, right? You should know that what that way you're speaking about someone as if your sexual attraction to them entitles you to their living a certain way. You should.
Who are they even talking about?
Know why that's bad and why that feels violating and why that robs someone of autonomy, right?
And with
your sexual attraction to them entitles you to their living a certain way. You should know why that's bad and why that feels violating.
Running again. Can you see? Can you see? This looks like the Joker to me.
And why that robs someone of autonomy, right?
And with TERFs and this whole thing of like they're erasing the
Yeah, they're talking about things that no one actually thinks. So great. What's the point in me even being here?
linguistic concept of a woman. It's like, what world do you have to live in for that to feel like the truth? And look, I'm not a woman, and so sometimes with these conversations,
No shit. Can we get Natalie to say the same thing? Because I'm not a woman, and I'm happy to admit that. I was born male. I don't pretend to have a DSD. When the conversation about any of my chromosomes or anything comes up, I'm not in the business of obfuscating. I'm not in the business of blurring the lines, because I respect women enough to know that I am not one of them, and that I shouldn't claim womanhood, and that at best I am like a guest in womanhood, and I shouldn't expect or feel entitled to a place in there because I'm a man, because I'm male. Everyone harsh, a gay man is explaining what women are.
I'm very careful about, like, even J.K. Rowling, a woman who I disagree with entirely on so many of these issues. It's like, I don't want to police
Disagree with her? Wow.
her understanding of, on so many of these issues. It's like, I don't want to police her understanding of her own trauma as it pertains.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You'd police my trauma if you could, because I disagree with you. That's how it is. I'm sorry. You're a liar.
To like being a woman. However, I still, like, we all live in the same society, and it's like, I'm just very hard pressed to think that the word woman is going anywhere. It's like,
Well, it's already gone, because males can be women now. It's already gone. It's not a case of going anywhere. Ollie's coming out of it was the most hilarious thing yet. I know. I really tried to like Philosophy Tube once upon a time. I could not get into it. I felt a lot of it was a bit meaningless, a bit dry, a bit boring. And then the trans thing just seemed so insincere and so, I look inside myself and I feel happy. Do you? Do you? Do you? Are you happy? Is that why you transitioned? Because you're happy?
I don't think that because on some, like, in some medical papers that are being published, that they're using the terms people who get pregnant, people who have periods.
Yes, which is wrong. They shouldn't be doing so. They should use clinical and accurate language. Obviously. Fucking obviously.
I don't think that means that, like, they're going to start calling you in casual conversation a person who menstruates.
No, but it might mean something like, I don't know, that if you're a woman athlete, you might now have to compete with the men because woman can include men now. It's really not difficult unless you're trying not to understand, unless you have a vested interest in not understanding. I think Charlie likes Philosophy Tube. She either does or she used to. There are quite a few YouTubers, in fact, that Charlie likes that I personally fucking despise. And that's okay. I don't expect my partner to think in lockstep with me. In fact, I'd be weirded out if that was the case, because I don't like groupthink. And I don't like the idea that anyone should be 100% the same as me. Like, my girlfriend wants to enjoy a bit of Philosophy Tube. I don't know that I'll be joining her, but fair enough. You know, she's a lot more woke than I am, and that's fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that because, you know, I care about who someone is as a person. I care about, well, here's a big thing I care about. Here's a big thing that I care about. I care about people being honest. I care about feeling that a person that I'm talking to, for example, is not going to bullshit me.
No, and no one talks like that way. I've never heard a trans person casually refer to...
No one talks that way, but if you look at like a Wikipedia page for like a trans person, it won't mention that they're trans. You don't know that they're actually a man until you look into it. We watched a news thing earlier. The person certainly looked trans, but none of the news outlets are going to say anything about it. So that person might actually be a man pretending to be a woman. And no one will know because we're in the business of obfuscating. Let's hear how Natalie misses this point.
cis women as people who menstruate, because the entire point of that term is that it doesn't just refer to cis women. That people have sort of a visceral.
But women menstruate, men do not. What's a trans man? A woman, basically. What are you? A man, basically. Just like me. And I get to say that. I don't give a fuck if it offends anyone. I've been trans longer than this person.
Visceral reaction to it.
I actually don't give a fuck. I'm pulling rank. I'll pull rank on any one of these fucking motherfuckers that are causing untold issues with, I can't say handmaidenry because this person is not a woman. I don't know. Women should not be expected to coddle confused men's fees. That is true.
Which I guess I can kind of understand. Like, I think if you were to make an intelligible, like understandable argument out of what J.K. Rowling seems to be saying in these tweets, I mean, I think you could put it like this: like, for most women, the way that they are oppressed in society is in fact intertwined with biology, right? With the women's reproductive role, as most women are capable of getting pregnant, and that becomes a area where women's lives are policed, right? And it's interesting how
it's always got to come back to some weird nebulous appeal to discrimination of some kind. You're in America. It's not that bad. I know you're hanging out with Matt Bernstein, so you have to say the stupidest thing possible. But it's not that bad.
Well, J.K. Rowling never talks about this, right? Not a word.
Mm-hmm.
Not a word.
What was it she was talking about on Twitter the other day? I retweeted it because it was just like the perfect thing where it was like, I thought she never talked about women's issues and just was transphobic. And it's not even fucking true. Women's issues. Thomas Willett is a fucking idiot. This person, if Thomas Willett wants to help trans people, he can do one thing. Shut the fuck up about trans forever. Listen, it's mostly going to be trans shit. I'm not denying that. Hold up, no. Iran, a country where women are incredibly oppressed. Sent to me in a sit in Tehran. In my beloved homeland, Iran, they serve as a manifesto against the backwardness and hollow authority of the clerics. It's a very religious country. Hopefully, Natalie at least knows this. Regime thinks it can regain control of the city with threats, etc., gravely mistaken. The reality is that women in Iran never give up. Even as regime arrests them for a crime of showing their hair or dancing, they proudly resist. I listened to a couple of musical artists from Iran. They're both women. There's someone I listened to called King Woman, and someone else I listened to called, what are they called? Omni something. Fuck, I can't remember. I feel bad now because I can't remember this person's stage name. And I like their music. Like, Iranian women, they have to fuck off to like the United States or wherever else to the West in order to make music. Like, I'm sorry, J.K. Rowling never talks about women's issues. This has got zero to do with trans. Like, I get that if you're a narcissist, you might read down, see mentions of trans and just ignore stuff like this. And wasn't it in Iran that like they'd rather you were like a trans than a homosexual? That's also pretty fucked. Listen, we're having a feminist moment. Listen to an artist called King Woman. She is really fucking good. She has an album called Celestial Blues. It's one of the best things I've ever listened to anyway. What was the other person? There's someone else I listened to. I think she used to tour with Pussifer. I cannot remember. It was like Omni something. Fuck. I can't remember. I feel so bad now. But there's some really good musicians, female musicians that come from Iran. And if they were still in their home countries, I would not know that they exist, and they would not be doing that and making money doing that and going out into the world in the West, being able to live their truth, you know, being able to do what they're good at instead of being subservient. Like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, grooming gang scandal, nothing to do with trans. I mean, I guess you could say it's tangentially a feminist issue, a female issue, if young girls were being assaulted. What's a queer? A person who calls himself a queer. I'm actually like quite. Syria. Here's another women's issue that JK Rowling is talking about. Omniflux. Okay, no, I listened to another Iranian woman in the US called Omniflux. I like her music as well. There we go. I did it. I think she used to tour with Pussifer, like on keyboards and stuff. Yeah, we're talking about New Year in Syria. Like, these women are like actually oppressed under these like insane like Islamic states.
Like, for most women, the way that they are oppressed in society is in fact intertwined with biology, right? With the women's reproductive role, as most women are capable of getting pregnant, and that becomes a area where women's lives are policed, right? And it's interesting how J.K. Rowling never talks about this, right? Not a word, not a word about Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Didn't talk about abortion. She talks about other things though. I know what you're trying to say. And for some reason, to most of these woke types, abortion, feminism, one and the same. All you have to do to call yourself a feminist is talk about abortion and nothing else. Does she talk about Roe v. Wade? I don't know. I don't know what her stance is on abortion.
In the United States. For most women, biology and misogyny they certainly are intertwined.
Yeah, a bit like in places like Iran and Syria, where because of their biology, they're forced into extremely narrow roles, which J.K. Rowling has talked about, recently even. So what's your point? Is she not allowed to be a feminist unless she talks about the thing that you want her to talk about? You, a male person? What do you get? Why do you get to fucking talk about this at all? Oh yeah, true. They all will not criticize Islam, even though plenty of these people are like rampant atheists. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And there's a case to be made that anyone who's assigned female at birth does sort of belong to
anyone who's female. Just say it. Just say it. Just say the word that is already in the term. Assigned female. They're female.
To a oppressed class by virtue of their reproductive.
She's finding it so hard to like get these sentences out. They've had to start cutting. Jesus Christ, man.
Capability, especially like, you know, the sensitivity around like, you know, saying people who menstruate or people who give birth. I feel like,
yeah, there's a case for that being erasure of women because we're pretending that the female biology isn't what makes you a woman. Therefore, we shouldn't use the term woman. That's kind of erasure in a way, is it not? Some trans women think they are more women than women. Probably. I don't know any personally that do. But I'm sure they're out there.
Like if you hear those phrases in isolation, they kind of like can be abrasive sounding because there's like a lot of shame and stigma there have for thousands of years around menstruation. And
yeah, so why don't we just pretend that women aren't the only ones that do it, I guess, even though trans men are women.
You know, women often are kind of reduced by patriarchy to...
I was at hospital recently and asked what gender I was assigned at birth. Blue screened me. Yep, that would do the same to me. That would... Fuck me. That would be... What's the fastest exit I can make from this place? Because just no. Just no. No more. No more. It's over. It is done.
To like birthing people in a sense, right? So I feel like...
Which is also erasure. Women give birth. Men do not. It's erasure. And if it was another fucking issue where it was about trannies, you'd agree. But because it's JK Rowling shit, because it means that you're not a woman and you can't pretend to be a female, suddenly it's a problem.
That there's like some like grain.
Well done, by the way, on being able to afford shit tons of plastic surgery so you somewhat actually resemble a woman, unlike most of us. We should be thinking of you as, at best, very privileged. Instead, we've decided you're an authority. Based on what? Based on what? A few good videos and a bunch of pretty terrible ones? Like, fuck that shit. Fuck that. I'm not just being told what to think anymore. And more people are feeling the same way. And more people are going to start listening to people like me and understanding that this is over and that it needs to stop.
Of something I can sympathize with there in terms of having a visceral negative.
God, this is like some pedantry spiral. I'm struggling to like, fucking hell.
Reaction to these phrases, but I
listen, here was my point over the last like 10 minutes or whatever. JK Rowling doesn't talk about abortion. The implication being that she doesn't talk about women's issues, she just shits on trans people. She talks about women's issues. Maybe she shouldn't talk about abortion. First of all, Roe v. Wade is an American thing. JK Rowling is not American. So it's a foreign country issue. You know what else is a foreign country issue? The way women are treated in Iran. What's worse? The way women are treated in Iran or the way women are treated in the US because of Roe v. Wade? I think actually that JK Rowling has kind of got a priority straight in this and that she's highlighting issues that are more important.
I feel like anyone who takes a second to cool down, understand the context of the phrase, will see that that's like clearly not the intention. They know that
Who cares about the intention? Why is the intention all that ever matters? Yeah, JK Rowling is Scottish. Like, these idiots forget that the US is not the world and then demand that everyone soys out about Roe v. Wade. Why the fuck should JK Rowling talk about Roe v. Wade? What, because you want her to? What's in it for you? What skin have you got in the game? You can't get pregnant. You will never have an abortion. Just like I will never have an abortion. She's literally finding more important female-ish. There we go, Afghanistan, another country, the Taliban. We're going to pretend this person is not a feminist because she doesn't talk about Roe v. Wade, an American issue. J.K. Rowling being, I think she's English, not Scottish. J.K. Rowling being a British person. Like, Afghani women, Iranian women. Those are also foreign country feminist issues. But in the US, women don't live like this. Women aren't under the fucking gun. You know what? We might as well hear what this person is saying even. Let's see if US women who can't get an abortion whenever the fuck they want, let's see if they have the same basic experience as someone like this. Why not?
Afghanistan is the only country in the world where women don't have access to their own rights, such as education.
Okay, what's worse? Can't get an abortion, can't get an education. Fuck me.
Work and freedom of movement. Women are completely removed from the society. Please don't forget Afghan women. Please stand up with Afghan women. Woman, life, freedom. Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What if this woman was good at music and wanted to try and make a career in music? Could she do that in Afghanistan? Of course not. She could do it in the US though. Like I said, women from Iran literally move to places like the US so that they can pursue their dreams and do what they're good at and shit. And I'm being told here that JK Rowling isn't talking about Roe v. Wade. Like, fuck me. How much more of this do I need to scroll down through? How much exactly? What about women that are taking way worse blows because a male person is boxing against them and they didn't probably know until it was too late and they were in the ring with them? What about that? Like, fuck me. I have to be careful. I feel like I have to be careful, especially when it's like foreign country stuff. Because I'm not from a country like Afghanistan. Hopefully that's clear. I don't know. I'm a relatively privileged person. In no way would I compare that to what's going down in Iran. Exactly. Literally, this fucking idiot women from Iran have to move to this country if they want to live their lives, it seems. And yet we're whining because of Roe v. Wade and expecting British feminists to talk about Roe v. Wade instead of, I don't know, Afghani women who cannot work. I think that's more important, personally. I think she's right. Another Iranian person. Land of poetry, culture, resilience. Yeah. A land of poetry, culture, resilience. Now they have to fuck off elsewhere to the West to do so. Where now they have to accept that men are also women, I guess. Amazing. Amazing. This is, like, I don't know. I can't be gaslit by these fucking idiots anymore. Goodbye. Goodbye. Or what about, I don't know, male officers being able to strip search women? What does ContraPoints think about male officers strip searching women? For all I know, maybe ContraPoints wants to be able to strip search women. I don't know that, for sure. I don't know them as a person. I hope he leaves you for a trans person. Wow. Amazing, but we're not the fucking misogynists. India Willoughby. Maybe that's what I needed. God. I don't know what to say sometimes. I honestly don't know what to say. What's worse? Roe v. Wade getting overturned, or this woman's situation? Okay, I'm really sorry, I don't know this language. Okay, you know what? People from the world might understand what this is, so I'll let it play. I don't know what it's saying myself.
داعش يتلحفر وموصل جماعي اغتصاب كر بابي مدنگي وكر جلطي لي دامر قال جرى محاولة خوا اتحاد راستي سي جرى محاولة خوا اتحادكم وديم هذا ميان حاضرت بولسني يان خالمي ما وكك نتيلا أزبر مراجعة دكتور نفسي يعني ها هرمة هست مراجعة دكتور نفسي.
And eventually we become full circle. Remember Dollcast? Become full circle. All roads lead back to Woo. How are we doing? Hope you liked the stream. You should like the stream. If you like the stream. You don't have to. It's optional. Roe v. Wade overturned versus zero chance at upward mobility. Yeah, unless you go to the country, well, a country like the one that overturned Roe v. Wade, because surprisingly, there's still a lot more women's rights. And to someone like JK Rowling, who is British, both of those countries, Iran and the US, are foreign countries. When was the last time ContraPoints talked about what happens to women in Iran or Afghanistan or Syria or anywhere else? But yet Roe v. Wade, that's what you want everyone to talk about. Roe v. Wade being overturned. That's what you want to talk about. That's what you insist. other people from foreign countries should be talking about? Do you think I should be talking about Roe v. Wade being overturned? Do you think it'd be more important for me to talk about Roe v. Wade than talk about Iranian musicians that have to leave their home country to have any chance of living a life they might want to live? What's worse? Which one's more important? I would love to hear Natalie Wynn and or Matt Bernstein's answer to that. And I have a feeling, I won't speak for Natalie. I already know someone like Matt Bernstein. They don't answer, they just change the question or find a way of not answering or find a way of making out that their America-centric view of the world is sensible in some way, actually, when it's not. And maybe what we need is more people that aren't American to talk about these issues. I don't know. I'm still scrolling down. You can't see anymore. We're still... Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about trans people. You can see it. You can see it. Why would you as an English person care about a US court case from the 70s? Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ, I at least thought that ContraPoints understood that America is not the world, you know? Oh, okay, hang on. No. This is something that completely exemplifies my point. Completely demonstrate what I'm talking about. Hang on. Give me a sec. Okay, so we could talk about Roe v. Wade, like Natalie Wynn wants us British people to do. Instead, she reposted this on December the 17th. Iranian woman Zara Esmaili has in prison of Islamic regime since 4 months for singing in public without hijab. Singing in public. We were talking about Iranian musicians. Because they're female, they have to go miles and miles away in order to live the life they want to live, instead of being arrested for this.
وقتی که من عاشق میشم ترانه ها عاشق.
The argument here is that what happens in Iran or Afghanistan is also US fault, colonialism and stuff. I don't know if that's even true, but why does that mean that British feminists should talk about Roe v. Wade and then we'll conveniently ignore when they talk about other things that are probably more important, let's be honest. This person is in jail for that shit. I don't know. I don't really understand your point, if I'm honest. Yeah, well, she's brave as fuck. She got jailed for it. Like, fuck me. American women can't get abortions as easily in some states. Iranian women can't sing on a fucking train. Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to think of these people? What am I supposed to think exactly? It's disgusting. Dangerously close to the UK having our own blasphemy laws. Maybe, I don't know, listen. If I get in trouble for the shit that I'm saying, that will make a victim or a martyr out of me, and that will only help me. But yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked, man. America is the world. We must all care about Roe v. Wade. Otherwise, we are not feminists. So says a male person who has benefited from one of the offshoots of modern feminism, that being intersectional feminism, has benefited from that endlessly, is bankrolled by that, as evidenced by, well, where the fuck does her money come from? Look on her Patreon. What kind of people are supporting ContraPoints? Generally, intersectional feminists, not actual feminists. People who spag out Kingdom Come about Palestine but don't give a fuck about women in Iran, Syria, Afghanistan. Yeah. How we doing? How we doing? Have you liked the stream? I tried. Listen, I look forward to people not getting any of my points. I look forward to people insisting that Natalie Wynn and Matt Bernstein have anything worth saying about J.K. Rowling, when Natalie Wynn has already twice over proved that she has nothing useful to say about J.K. Rowling. And I'd love to know why it is that she waited so long to make a video about J.K. Rowling, especially when, around a similar time, ContraPoints was getting cancelled by the same people that were also cancelling J.K. Rowling. You can't make it up. Frolicking on a field of trans people. Holy shit, man. What am I making for dinner? I'm going to make something called pasta alla noccina, which is like sausage pasta with like creamy white wine sauce. And I do it with like porcini mushroom. You get like dried porcini mushrooms and put them in a bit of hot water. So you get like a stock. And like, I don't know, it adds a lot of flavor. And Charlie really loves pasta. So like, I don't know. I didn't used to really care about pasta, but like I started watching, there's a channel called Vincenzo's Plate and another one called Pasta Grammar. And there's probably loads more, to be honest. I see lots of food stuff. And it kind of got me into it when I try some of the actual like authentic Italian recipes and stuff, like made by Italian people. It's like, I don't know, maybe there's something to this, you know what I mean? There's quite a few things that I've tried making, like with pasta, that I really wouldn't have bothered, like a year ago even. But like, I don't know, I got into it. I enjoy like really simple and authentic recipes, I guess. It's the same, I watch Japanese like channels, but most of the time it's just a guy in his apartment just cooking food. But it's like, it's just really good. And like simple food is often like the best kind, I think. Like you don't need to make anything crazy. You can make pretty good stuff with like 4 or 5 ingredients. If you know what you're doing, you get a few techniques down. The other thing is, it's kind of a motivating factor if you're British, because our food just isn't very good. Like, you get some good Indian food. I don't know too much about what it's like around here. I grew up in the Midlands, and like, if you're gonna be an Indian restaurant in the Midlands, you have to be good. If you're not very good, you're not lasting long, because there's a big community there, you know? How do I not like pasta? Oh no, I do. I never really cared much about it, but like, usually when I'm not very interested in a kind of food, it's because I haven't really found like good recipes. I haven't been shown the right way, I guess. Oh, is my back hurting so much? It gets like cold, and like all my muscles are like doing God knows what. It's like starting to hurt a little bit, man. British have mastered comedy. Yeah, we're good at comedy for sure. I would say music, but I don't know how much British music I like. I mean, I don't know. I'm a basic bitch. I like Radiohead, I guess. I don't actually listen to that much British music. Like mostly like European and Americans.